Hello, my name is Arnold and I am a junior at Yale University, double majoring in theater and performance studies and political science. I applied successfully to Yale University through the single choice early action program my senior year and was accepted in early December. So it's safe to say that I know a thing or two about the college admissions process. And although it is super important to have a well-rounded application, one thing that can definitely help put you over the top is having successful and meaningful extracurricular activities. I was heavily involved in both the arts and student government and was able to use these successfully throughout high school to convey my application, but I'll also be describing how I was able to continue and further those interests in both the arts and student government once I was accepted to Yale University. I'm going to be talking about my high school extracurriculars that are specifically related to the arts. As you know, one of my specific goals was to pursue a career in the entertainment field, which is why that I had a lot of extracurriculars that are specifically related to entertainment and the arts. The first activity that I listed was that I was the lead dancer and the choreographer for the Indonesian Association in Connecticut. What I essentially did was I performed traditional Indonesian dances as I was Indonesian throughout many different venues and performances. There was one specific yearly event that I did, which was the Yale Southeast Asian Cultural Festival, which not only allowed me to relate my specific passion for performance and dance to Yale University itself, but it also allowed me to link my heritage as an Indonesian. So this shows that I was very passionate about performance and that I involved myself in many different events, whether it was related to Yale or not, but I was a lead dancer, I was a leader in this group, and I was a choreographer who would create the dance moves for this specific extracurricular. My next extracurricular was that I was the lead actor and in the main cast for the Central Players Drama Club, which is essentially the name for the theater club at my school. We didn't start the club until the 11th and 12th grade, and even though colleges really prefer that you can involve yourself in activities from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade to show consistency in your involvement in an extracurricular activity, I clarified that this extracurricular did not exist until my 11th and 12th grade because that was when my school decided to finally renovate the Black Box Theater, in which we were finally able to actually hold these performances. I was able to perform in front of hundreds of people and show my passion for theater, and I was also awarded the most congenial and the person who was the glue to stick everybody together. I also gathered so many other artists so that we could advertise the shows and to fundraise for the shows and essentially make this piece a collaborative piece that had a set design, that had light design, that had many actors, and I fostered camaraderie and expressed my passion for performance. The next and the last activity that I had specifically for performance was that I was a lead actor and a performer for the Indonesian Bethel Church. From ever since when I was a kid until I was older, I would create these videos that would inform lessons of the Bible and in teachings. I would act in the videos. I would also perform dances for all these events, and these events would range from Christmas, Easter, or just Sunday church gatherings. So this was very important, and all these activities involved performance of some kind, whether it is singing, dancing, or acting in my church community, in my Indonesian community, and in my theater community in high school. I was just heavily involved, and I really want to pursue a career in the arts and entertainment field, which is why I was able to successfully implement everything through these many different aspects and facets of my extracurricular life. I was also heavily involved in my high school extracurriculars that were specifically related to student government. Along with wanting to pursue a career in the arts field, I was also genuinely interested in pursuing a career in government, whether it was working on public policy or working to become a politician one day. One of my first activities was that I was a member of the school governance council in the 9th grade, but then I also became the student representative, aka the president, in both the 11th and the 12th grade. And what was very important to me in this activity was the fact that I began as a member, but I gradually increased and proved growth by eventually becoming the student representative, the president, in my 11th and 12th grade. And essentially what you do is that you work closely with staff and teachers on adjusting policy that can better suit and benefit the student population with their growth, with their social emotional health. And one thing that I did, for example, was that I created the peer mediation program, which essentially allowed students to not argue in very aggressive ways, but essentially talk to each other on a more sensible level about the problems that they had, because my school had a bad track record of many people fighting and arguing. I also aided in revising the district improvement plan and was eventually awarded the Bridgeport Spirit Award for my city. So this is a way of showing how you can use student government to impact the students in your school by working closely with the teacher and the staff while receiving awards, tangible awards that show your genuine involvement and passion in the subject. I was also the class president for the Central High School Class Officers of 2018, 2018. And this is similar to student government, but instead of focusing on the whole entire student body, I'm specifically focusing on my graduating class, the graduating class of 2018. And I organized so many events, such as hosting the pep rally, and also many other events such as prom. And I even created Field Day, which was used to boost the morale in school so that everybody would be able to unite together and have fun through these events. And you want to make sure that when you're doing student government, you are able to look at the students' needs, but also you're a leader, right? You want to be able to show that you have the passion and that you have the morale and that you can be fun, because school can get stressful, and it's super important that you're fun and that you're wholesome and that you're nice to everybody else. My other activity was that I was a food runner, an expediter, and a host at a Japanese restaurant nearby. And this was very important because it showed that as a first generation low income student, I had to essentially earn a lot of money so that I could support my family financially. Because even though I had academics and a lot of personal stress going on, I had to still make sure that my family and that my parents were able to successfully pay for our house and pay for our food. And these are just one of the many little things that you can add to showcase how you have to deal with all these responsibilities as a young person. And another one that I added was my involvement with my family. I still had to cook for my family, my younger brothers. I still had to tutor them and help them out. And these essentially just help craft you as an individual, because even though my main extracurriculars were student government and the arts, these were truly important in shaping who I am holistically as a person who cared about other people and who was very selfless. In terms of the college extracurricular life at Yale University, if I'm going to be completely honest, Yale has been absolutely amazing in terms of providing extracurriculars. When you are in college, please involve yourself as much as you can, because you're only here for 4 years. You're going to involve yourself in something meaningful, create something meaningful, meet a lot of friends, find a great support group, and essentially you can learn many things. Whether you are a newbie in something or you're inexperienced in it, there are many, many opportunities that you can do. For example, for me, some extracurriculars that were not necessarily related to student government or the arts that I still enjoyed was Yale intramural sports. The Yale intramural activities is an extracurricular activity that allows the students, regardless of your background, but you can't be an official athlete, to participate in a bunch of fun activities and sports. This would range from soccer, indoor soccer, or even things like badminton, ping pong, bowling. There are so many activities that you can involve yourself in, and there is no commitment. Essentially, your respective residential college will contact you and provide a list of the activities that are there. And if you are interested in the activity for the week, you can just show up, play, and there's no commitment involved. My next club is both the Asian American Cultural Center and the Indonesian Yale Association. As an Indonesian and as an Asian American, these provided a lot of resources for me to specifically connect with my culture. It's also fun because they provide a lot of events and talks with famous Asian American artists or speakers or people who revolutionized fields in specific fields, Nobel Prize winners, and they provide a great resource for you to have fun and to learn more about the culture and create awesome friends. Next, I am part of the first generation low income student and Questbridge chapter, and essentially what this is that I'm united with other students who come from my similar background, from similar disadvantaged backgrounds, and I'm able to connect with them and receive these resources, such as, like I said, events where you can eat with them, where you can learn with them, where you can socialize with them, and this is a great way for me to reaffirm my identity as a first generation low income student. Another extracurricular that I was able to get, which doesn't really count as an extracurricular per se, but these were 3 jobs that I had. The first job was the Pearson Buttery job, the second was the Payne Whitney Gymnasium job, and the third one was the Yale Political Science Department assistant job. Now let me break it down. For the first job, the Pearson Buttery job, this job was essentially me being a chef for my specific residential college, Pearson College. Now, if you don't know, Yale University is split into one of 14 different residential colleges, and each college has this thing called the Buttery, which is downstairs in the basement, where essentially it's like a social hub meets a restaurant where late at night from 10 p.m. to around midnight or 1 a.m., chefs cook food for students who are hungry and they pay a small fee. And I was able to get a job as a student chef there, and it was great because not only do you get free food, but you make money and you can socialize and make money for your friends. Well, not make money for your friends, but you make food for your friends, and it's a very, very enjoyable process. Now, the next one was the Yale Payne Whitney Gymnasium assistant. This job was awesome because essentially I just have to supervise and monitor people before they come into this gymnasium to work out. And it was great because afterwards I could also work out in the gym itself. So it was a great way to make money and to financially support myself at Yale. Now the last one is becoming a Yale political science research assistant. Now what is this? Well, essentially I'm a double major in theater and performance studies and political science, so I emailed all of my professors if they had any work that I could help them out with. Luckily, I emailed this one professor, and he offered to pay me if I could help him with his gene editing research. So every single week, I evaluate different countries and their gene editing policies, answering different questions, working closely with him. And not only do I get paid, but I'm able to involve myself in a fruitful extracurricular activity that can help make me money on the side and learn a lot about gene editing policy, which is super important nowadays. Although I really loved acting before I entered Yale, Yale made me realize the possibilities of acting and the rich and diverse experiences it provides. For example, even though I was interested in acting, there's so many opportunities if you want to do writing, directing, or producing. Anybody from any background can involve yourself in it. This is great because it further shows how inclusive the environment at Yale is. There are many people who've done shows that are Broadway or that are big, but there are also students who weren't involved in theater at all, but now just want to get the chance to involve themselves in it. For example, me, I came from a low-income district with a small black box theater and was not able to do as much. But entering Yale, I was able to immerse myself in such a rich environment with so many extracurriculars. One of my first extracurriculars that was related to theater was the Yale Cabaret. Now, what is this? The Yale Cabaret is an experimental theater group that is actually run by the Yale School of Drama Graduate Club. And this was amazing because I signed up for the email list and they essentially said that they were looking for undergraduate actors. Long story short, I applied to it and I was able to work closely with so many Yale School of Drama artists, some people who applied from China and got in, who are in the directing program, some people are in the acting program, the stage manager program, and you learn so much from people who are actual professionals and who are graduate students from a level beyond you. The next main theater organization is the Yale Drama Coalition, which is basically the large encompassing umbrella organization of theater at Yale. What do I mean by that? Well, essentially, there's so much theater at Yale, and the Yale Drama Coalition is the most basic way of establishing guidelines for all the theater, and it contains all of the little subgroups of different theater groups at Yale as well. Furthermore, a subgroup of the Yale Drama Coalition is the Yale Dramatic Association, which is a very specific theater group here at Yale, which has a very large budget, and the shows look very professional because of the large budget, and they're performed in the famous Yale University Theater or the Yale Repertory Theater. I was luckily able to become a performer and actor in 3 distinct plays, which can be very difficult to do. For example, one of them was the Yale Spring Main Stage, which allowed me to work closely with a New York director as they were able to bring a New York director for this specific show. Another show that I was involved with was called the First Year Show, the Fro Show. Now, essentially what the Fro Show is they allow only first years to become the directors, producers, stage managers, actors, essentially everything of this specific show. So essentially they control everything and they do everything, and it's a great learning process and you make friends with so many different people. I was also able to serve in the executive board as the outreach coordinator. Essentially, I promote inclusivity and I talk with students around the area, for example in New Haven, and I invite those kids to watch our shows for free and then invite them for talkbacks after so they can talk with the undergraduate actors about the show. Another extracurricular activity that is related to dance and performance is called DanceWorks. Now, DanceWorks is essentially a non-audition group at Yale, the largest non-audition group at Yale, where essentially you can just sign up to become a choreographer, and then hundreds of students will be able to look at your presentation, and whichever dances that they're interested, they will try to get a slot in your show. And at the end of the semester, they perform this big show with this central theme that has many different 2 to 3 minute dance performances. It's very fun. I was in one my first year especially, and I met some of my closest friends, and you perform in different venues, mainly in the off-Broadway theater here at Yale. Another theater and arts performance related activity that I was involved with was the Advanced Studies in England program. Now, what Yale does is that they provide for low-income students this thing called the International Summer Award, which is essentially a stipend, a full ride to choose any program that you want that you can apply to study abroad. In my case, as a theater and performance studies major, since I wanted to study acting, I applied to this Advanced Studies in England program in Bath, England, and because I was accepted, Yale gave me all the money to study abroad there for free during my first year summer, and I took 2 classes, Acting British Style and British Theater History, and through these 2 classes, I was able to get 2 credits for my theater studies major, while also making new friends in England and learning about this new and unique performance style to boost my abilities and enhance my chances of being able to get the career of an actor. I was also involved in student government at Yale University, specifically 2 main groups, the Yale Model United Nations and the Yale Student Government, specifically called the Yale College Council. Now, for the Yale College Council, essentially it works as any student governing body, specifically in high school or in college, but specifically I worked in the Yale First Year College Council. Now, what this is essentially Yale has 14 different residential colleges in the undergraduate program, and they grab 1 or 2 representatives of each residential college to represent your college and also represent the first year student body. For example, I'm in Pearson College, and there's a vote in your college of who to choose for the 1 to 2 representatives. For my case, it was me and one of my friends, and we were involved with it, and essentially I was the social media chair as well. There's so many things that you can do to enhance the student body, and it's just very fun and interactive. After your first year, you're also able to apply for the Sophomore College Council and the Junior College Council, and eventually apply to be the president of the Yale student body, which allows you to work closely with the dean and the staff and the teachers to talk about the issues that are tackling students nowadays, especially during COVID-19. For example, during the pandemic, the Yale College Council people worked closely with the students to figure out that the best way to keep grading fair was to establish a pass-fail policy where essentially if you do well in the class, you get to pass, but you will not be able to be judged for the GPA of it due to the unforeseen and unfortunate circumstances. Another extracurricular I was involved with that related to student government was the Yale International Relations Association, specifically the Yale Model United Nations. So in this case, it is a simulation. So you invite high school students from all around the world, which is a very competitive application, to be involved in your committee. And I was a vice committee chair my first year and a committee chair my sophomore year. For my first year, I was involved in the Civil Rights Committee, so our topics involved civil rights specifically in 1950s and 1960s, and in my sophomore year, I was the actual committee chair with one of my good friends, and we talked about space exploitation, and it's just very fun because you get very creative, and if you're a high school student, I recommend that you look into this because it is a great opportunity to involve yourself in a student government and political science related extracurricular activity. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope that you enjoyed today's class, and I hope that you learned a lot about extracurriculars both in high school and how you can develop them and experience them in college. Once again, be involved, and thank you so much, and I hope that you learned a lot, and I wish you the best in applying to your dream college and successfully getting in.